I think it might have been easier for NASA to land on the moon than it was for me to learn how to spin the basketball.
The Consistency Project.
When the subject in this video tried out for high school basketball, he was offered the role of team manager. This was freshman year, when there were no cuts. Everyone made the team. Usually. In short, if he can do it, so can literally anyone else.
I grew up in a family full of sports fanatics. Holidays saw us all gather around the TV watching some kind of college or pro game. And since I grew up in the era of when Michael Jordan set the world on fire, basketball was my favorite sport to watch. One of the things I remember the most is Grandpa Bob trying to teach 10-year-old me how to spin a basketball on my finger. He could do it for as long as it took the turkey to roast, or so it seemed. I, however, could never get it. I tried for what felt like hours. Never got it. It just wasn't meant to be, I thought. But once you get comfortable accepting that, there's nowhere else for you to go. As Napoleon Hill once wrote, the most common cause of failure is the habit of quitting when one is overtaken by temporary defeat. I may have quit back then, but that doesn't make it forever. And the road to redemption is a long one, so I better get started. I decided that spinning the basketball for 15 consecutive seconds was a reasonable goal. Why 15? That just seemed long enough to take luck out of the equation. I didn't think it would take very much effort. 40 days of practice at 3 minutes a day was the plan I started with. In the first quarter of my training, I followed the plan to a T. Every day I set the clock. 3 minutes of focused practice. When I began, I could spin the ball for about 3 seconds. And after 20 straight days of practice, I could spin the ball for about 3 seconds. Clearly, my plan needed an adjustment. For the next 20 days, I averaged 7 minutes of practice a day, effectively doubling the practice time. But once again, little to no progress was made. I could spin the ball for 5 seconds, maybe once or twice during practice, but those extra 10 seconds that I was missing felt like an eternity. And when the original due date came and went, I was nowhere near the goal. By day 45, I honestly felt like I hadn't gotten any better from day one. Not one bit. I was very frustrated. I hit a wall. I was just shocked that it was this difficult to learn the skill, something I had not anticipated. Old thoughts of it not being meant to be started to pop in my head again, and my motivation was completely deflated. So I had to fall back on discipline, concerning myself more on the effort than the outcome. Also, I had to change everything about what I was doing. Clearly, it wasn't working, so I upped practice time to 10 minutes a day. Also, I thought through each part of the movement, each link in the chain, if you will, to see where I could improve, trying different strategies as I practiced. Which finger to use, where on my finger to spin the ball, what angle to hold my hand at. Should I hold it like this, or should I hold it like this? This, or this? How to spin the ball with my left hand, my free hand. How hard to hit it, how often to hit it. You get the picture. Lots of questions. I used the next 2 weeks to try to find answers to those questions and test out what worked best for me. Sometimes you have to take a step back in order to go forward. 60 days in, and now practicing at 20 minutes a day, I finally started to see some improvement, and it wasn't long after that I hit the goal. There wasn't a moment where I felt things just clicked and I was able to do it. No aha moment, if you will. It was more a function of consistent practice leading to small, gradual gains in technique and success. The more I practiced, the better I got, and the more my motivation picked back up. All told, I practiced for nearly 8.5 hours over the course of 3 months, with a consistency rating of 88%, having practiced 75 out of 86 days. Excluding the first 30 days, I practiced an average of 12 minutes a day. So how did I get through the wall that I hit in the first half? Well, I can point to 3 things that I changed that helped. The first thing I did was try a different finger. For 40 straight days, I stuck with my middle finger to spin the ball on. Then basically out of frustration, I switched to my index finger for a week or 2. Now, I still spin the ball better on my middle finger, but for reasons I can't explain, switching between the 2 made them both better. Secondly, how to spin the ball with my left hand, my free hand. This one took me a long time to get, because you have to hit the ball with enough force that it spins the ball faster, but not too hard that it knocks it off balance. So there's a certain finesse that I had to learn. But what I found best works for me is swiping at the ball at a slightly downward angle and aiming to hit the ball somewhere between the bottom of the ball and the center of the ball. So not hitting it straight across in the middle. And 3 really was just putting in more time. I found the optimum practice time was 15 to 20 minutes. If I could start all over, I would practice 15 minutes every other day. Otherwise, if you practice too much, your wrist starts to get sore from initiating the spin with your right hand, which I started to feel when I was practicing like 20-25 minutes a day. Now, I seriously doubt that Grandpa Bob practiced spinning the ball as much as I did. He was just a naturally gifted athlete. He even tried out for a professional baseball team when he was a young man. One thing he didn't do though was pass on those natural gifts to his grandkids. But hopefully he knows that I finally learned the skill he first introduced me to so many years back. Now I'm curious. I know it took me 8.5 hours. How does that compare to everyone else? 8.5 hours. It was 8.5 hours. It was way more than I anticipated. Whew.